Before we begin, this isn't just a story. It's fiction, yes, but it's rooted in the truths we live, the struggles we carry, and the silence we keep. If you've ever felt the weight of family expectations, if you've ever been told that success means sacrifice, then this story will feel familiar. So hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, because here, your story matters. And there's more coming. Every week, new fiction grounded in African life, culture, and choices that cut deep. Now, let's begin. What if every time you succeed, someone back home writes a bill? What if your family didn't ask, they expected? You're not selfish, but you're exhausted. They say, "You made it, now carry us." But what if the load breaks you? This isn't just a story, it's a reality for millions. Watch the full story of the price of making it, a journey that too many are silently living. And ask yourself, how much is too much? Okwani Ngozi stood on the balcony of his London flat, watching the rain stitch the city in threads of silver. 8 years ago, he had left Mwanza with a borrowed coat, a second-hand suitcase, and a heart full of desperation. Now, he had a British accent that even confused himself, a job in finance, and a paycheck that could buy his father's entire maize harvest 10 times over. Today, he got promoted. £85,000 sterling a year. A corner office. The firm even offered to sponsor his permanent residency. But before he could uncork the bottle of Prosecco in his fridge, his phone rang. It was a Kenyan number. "Mama," he smiled, answering quickly. "My son." Her voice cracked with joy, then lowered. "We're so proud of you. You've really made it." A pause. Then came the real reason for the call. "So, your cousin Keegan was chased from university again. Fees. Just 38,000 shillings. Small thing. And the roof here, it's leaking again. Wambua says the Boda Boda needs new tires, and you know your sister's wedding is in November." Okwani pinched the bridge of his nose. "I'll see what I can do," he said. "You're the only one we can count on," she whispered. "You're our hope." The call ended. Okwani stared at the bottle of Prosecco. He didn't open it. He walked back to his desk, logged into his banking app, and began doing conversions from pounds to shillings. He wasn't celebrating tonight. He was calculating. Cousin Keegan, 38,000 Kenya shillings, university fees. Wambua, 12,000 Kenya shillings, new Boda Boda tires. Mama's house repairs, 47,000 Kenya shillings. Wambui's wedding dress deposit, 18,000 Kenya shillings. Grandmother's clinic checkup, 5,000 Kenya shillings. Church fundraiser for new PA system, 10,000 Kenya shillings. Uncle Ezekiel's chicken project, 15,000 Kenya shillings. Total, 145,000 Kenya shillings. Equivalent in sterling pounds, 845. Not including anything urgent that may arise. He blinked. Was this an invoice? His phone buzzed again. A forwarded message from Wambua. A video of him leaning on the broken-down Boda Boda. Caption: "Bro, sort me ASAP. I got gigs waiting." Then another from Wambui. "Can you send my gown deposit today before the shop sells it to someone else?" He hadn't even had coffee. At work, Okwani stared at his screen while his co-workers buzzed around the office celebrating his promotion. His Slack pinged. Jade had sent him a partying face and heart emoji, but his mind was still in Mwanza. He remembered once telling his mother, "When I make it, I'll take care of everyone." He didn't know that promise would become a prison. Because now, it wasn't gratitude, it was entitlement. He tried replying but froze. What could he say? "I can't help? This isn't sustainable?" It didn't matter. He knew what Mama would say. "You're not married, you don't pay rent back home, you earn in pounds? What do you mean you can't help?" That night, Okwani scheduled the transfers. all of them, then deleted the Prosecco from his grocery list. Again. The nickname started as a joke. At first, it was Wambua in the family WhatsApp group. Mr. ATM himself, he had written after Akwani sent the Boda Boda repair money. Laughter followed, emojis, gifs, even Uncle Ezekiel calling him the Bank of England. Akwani forced a laugh then, but it wasn't funny anymore. Now, they said it like a title. Ask the ATM. Tell the ATM we need him. Why hasn't the ATM replied? And the ATM? He was breaking down. At work, he smiled through presentations, ran client calls, and hid his numbers. But in his head, every transaction was a tug of war. His salary split between bills in London and obligations in Mwanza. One evening, he got home to find Jade waiting for him. She had cooked dinner, Joe loaf rice and grilled chicken, his favorite. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. "We need to talk," she said. Okwani knew the tone. She pulled out her phone and opened their shared expenses app. Rent bounced. Again. The last 3 months, I've been covering more than my share. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. That was worse. "I'm not your family, Okwani. I'm your partner, but I feel like a placeholder." He tried to explain. "They need me. I'm all they have." Jade stared at him. "And who do you have?" He didn't have an answer. Later that night, he received another message, this time from Wambui. "Quick 10K, bro. I forgot to pay the caterer. Wedding's next week. You know I'll pay you back." He didn't even reply. He just opened his banking app and sent it. As he pressed confirm, a thought crossed his mind. Maybe I'm not a brother, not a son, not a man, just a service. A silent braking machine in a nice suit. The eviction notice didn't come with a warning. It came with a knock. Okwani opened the door to find a polite but firm building manager holding a folded sheet of paper. "Final reminder," the man said. 7 days. He didn't even have the strength to argue. He just nodded and closed the door. Inside, Jade stood frozen, eyes locked on the paper. "I thought you said you'd handled it." "I was going to. Something came up," Okwani muttered. Jade didn't raise her voice. That wasn't her style. She walked to the kitchen and leaned against the counter. "Something always comes up, Okwani, and it's never us." The silence that followed was heavier than the London drizzle falling outside. Jade turned to face him, arms crossed. "Do you know how it feels to live with someone who gives the best of himself to people who only call when they need something?" He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came. She continued, her voice low but firm. "You send money for broken roofs, lost school fees, chickens, boda bodas. You've spent thousands of pounds helping people who won't even remember your birthday." "That's not fair," he started. "No," she cut in. "What's not fair is that I'm building a life with someone who's being drained from 2 continents. You think you're helping them, but you're killing yourself." He sat down heavily, scrolling through his banking app. Direct debits, remittance history, overdraft warnings. They all stared back at him like ghosts. His paycheck had hit that morning, and already half of it was gone. Jade came over, kneeling beside him. Her voice softened. "I know you love them, but you don't owe them your destruction." Okwani's phone buzzed again. A new WhatsApp message. "Mama Ngozi. Morning, my son. Hope you slept well. We need to talk. There's something small." He didn't even open it. He stared at the eviction notice. Rent or remit? That was the question. And for the first time in years, he didn't choose them. The silence didn't last long. After Okwani ignored his mother's message for 2 days, the family WhatsApp group lit up like a Christmas tree. Not with concern, with accusations. Uncle Ezekiel. So now that he's rich, he's too busy to pick his mother's calls. Auntie Jerry. Even when his father died, we were there. Who does he think paid his school fees? Wambua Ngozi. He's not the same anymore. London changed him. He doesn't even say hi. Mama Ngozi, voice note. I don't know what I did to deserve this. Maybe I raised him too well. Now that he's successful, he's forgotten who carried him on her back when he had no shoes. It was less of a group chat and more of a trial. And Okwani? He wasn't even there to defend himself. By the time he checked his phone, there were 47 unread messages. Some were subtle jabs, others direct attacks. He has time for that woman in London, but not for his own blood. We were proud of you, Okwani. Now we're just disappointed. His hands trembled as he scrolled. Guilt rose like bile in his throat. He started typing a reply, something diplomatic, something kind, then stopped. What would he say? That he was being evicted because he paid for their emergencies? That he skipped meals so they could eat? That his girlfriend was packing her things while they gossiped about him online? He turned off his phone. But even with the screen black, the voices echoed. Don't forget who fed you. We made you who you are. You owe us. That night, he dreamt of drowning, not in water, but in expectation. Every time he tried to swim to shore, someone handed him another invoice, another need, another guilt trip. He woke up in a cold sweat. It wasn't just WhatsApp. It was a courtroom of people who believed they owned him because they had once helped him stand. And now? Now they wanted repayment, not in love, in cash. The flight from London to Nairobi was quiet. Not because Okwani was at peace, but because he was numb. Mama Ngozi had begged him to come home for Wambui's wedding. Your sister will never forgive you if you miss her big day, she had said. And the whole family wants to see you. You've been gone too long. So he took leave from work. Jade didn't come. I think you need to go alone, she said simply, placing his passport in his hand without looking at him. The minute he landed at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, the pressure returned, like heat rising from the tarmac. His cousin Keegan was the first to hug him at arrivals, and the first to ask, You still have your UK bank card, right? There's a quick thing I wanted to run by you. The next day, Wambua pulled him aside. Bro, I quit my job. I want to start a real hustle now. Something you can back me on, you know? Okwani's heart sank. You quit your job? Wambua smiled. Yeah, no need to struggle when you've already made it, bro. The wedding preparations were beautiful, chaotic, and expensive. Okwani quickly learned that many vendors had agreed to services because the brother from abroad was coming. People handed him receipts without hesitation. Tents, music, chairs, transport, even the pastor's thank you. Every time he opened his wallet, someone was waiting with an open hand. No one asked how he was. No one asked about Jade. No one even asked how life in London was treating him. To them, he wasn't Okwani anymore. He was the paycheck. During the wedding, Mama Ngozi leaned over and whispered proudly, This day wouldn't have been possible without you. Okwani smiled weakly, but inside, something broke. He had come home to reconnect, to breathe, to remember. But all he saw were invoices disguised as family. When Okwani returned to London, the flat was quiet. Too quiet. Jade was gone, not forever, but enough to send a message. Her closet was half empty. A note on the counter read, I love you, but I refuse to drown beside you. No shouting, no drama, just silence and space. At work, things weren't any better. His manager called him in for a quick chat. You've been distracted lately, Okwani. Missed deadlines, incomplete reports. Is everything okay? He smiled and lied. Just a lot on my plate. Back at home, his plate was emptier than ever. His fridge held a bottle of tap water and leftover rice. He hadn't paid rent. Again. He opened his banking app. Overdraft. Credit card maxed. Payday loans pending. And then, as if on cue, his phone buzzed. It was Mama. Voice note. Hello, my son. Sorry to disturb you. I know you just came back, but your uncle is sick. Hospital bills are high. We know you'll understand. Another message from Wambua. Bro, I thought we talked about the business. I even registered a name. I just need seed money now. He turned off the phone. He sat on the floor of his flat and wept. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, like steam leaving a cracked pipe. Years of bottled guilt, obligation, and emotional blackmail, all hissing out at once. And then, a knock at the door. It was Auntie Aisha, not a blood relative, but someone who had helped raise him in Mwanza before moving to Birmingham. I saw your eyes at the wedding, she said gently, and I've seen enough sons fall apart quietly. He didn't speak. She sat beside him. You can't pour from an empty cup, child, no matter how much they love you, or say they do. That night, Okwani didn't send money, didn't respond to messages, didn't apologize. He just sat there, staring at the empty space where Jade's shoes once were. And for the first time, he thought about choosing himself. The first time Okwani said no, it felt like swallowing glass. It was a Sunday afternoon, the kind when family calls came in back to back. Mama had sent a voice note asking for a small emergency top-up to settle Uncle Ezekiel's hospital bill. It was phrased politely like a request, but he knew better. The second voice note, just minutes later, was from Wambua. Bro, I'm really stuck. I trusted you. You said you'd come through. I already promised people. The third was from Cousin Keegan, who hadn't spoken to him in months, until he needed transport money. Okwani didn't open any of them. Instead, he typed one message in the family group. I need to focus on rebuilding my life. I won't be sending money for a while. Please don't take it personally. I'm just empty. Then he muted the group. For the first time in years, the silence wasn't terrifying. It was peaceful. But the peace didn't last. Within hours, he received a barrage of messages. Some were coded in guilt. After all we've done for you? We raised you, and this is how you thank us? You think your success is just yours? Others were colder, sharper. You're a disgrace. You've become arrogant. You've forgotten your roots. Mama's final message came at midnight, a simple text. You're not my son anymore. It shattered something inside him. He reread it 4 times, hoping the words would change. They didn't. The next morning, he called Jade. I did it, he said, voice shaking. There was silence on the line. Then finally, a breath. I'm proud of you, she whispered. It wasn't a grand reconciliation. She didn't come home. But it was something solid. Something he hadn't felt in months. Validation. That day, he made a list. Cancel all automatic transfers. Close the remittance app. Open a savings account. Start therapy. Reclaim his life. He wasn't cruel. He was just done bleeding. And for once, he was no longer apologizing for it. 2 weeks passed. 2 long, quiet, healing weeks. The phone still buzzed occasionally, mostly from numbers back home. But Okwani no longer reached for it like a lifeline. He let it ring. He let it breathe. He woke up earlier now, made his own breakfast, read in the morning sun that filtered through his kitchen window. And most of all, he wrote, not code, not spreadsheets, just thoughts. One day, he opened a blank blog post and typed a title. The Weight You Can't Talk About, Black Tax, and the African Sun. The words poured out like a confession. He wrote about growing up in Mwanza, a dusty house with walls that cracked when it rained, a mother who worked miracles on a single income, a boy who swore he'd make it and lift them all. Then he wrote about London, the loneliness, the silent sacrifices, the pressure to smile during video calls when his fridge was empty. He wrote about being the family ATM, the guilt, the silent shame of success. And finally, he wrote about the cutoff, the backlash, the grief, the relief. He hit publish and closed his laptop. By the next morning, the post had gone viral. Hundreds of comments flooded in from across the world: Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, the US, even Australia. Men and women, young and old, all saying the same thing. "This is my story. I thought I was alone. Thank you for saying what we couldn't." Jade texted him. "I read it 3 times. I cried every time. You're healing people, Okwani, including yourself." He didn't reply. Not yet. He sat on the edge of his bed, stared out the window, and exhaled. The world hadn't ended. His world had just begun. For the first time, he felt light. Not because the weight was gone, but because he had finally stopped carrying what was never his to bear alone. Okwani stood at the arrivals terminal of Jomo Kenyatta Airport once again. But this time, it was different. He wasn't returning as the sponsor, the ATM, the lifeline. He had come for a short holiday, on his own terms. No wedding, no emergency, no secret bank withdrawals hidden under smiles, just him and peace. He hadn't told many people he was coming, only Auntie Aisha. She picked him up with her usual warmth, her voice full of laughter, and her trunk full of homemade samosas. "You look lighter," she said, glancing at him as they drove through the city. "I am," he replied. "Not because life got easier, but because I stopped pretending I could carry it all." They drove past neighborhoods he used to know. Some had changed, others not at all. But the biggest shift was in him. He visited his old school, took a walk past the muddy field where he used to play barefoot football with Wambua. He even stopped by his mother's house. She wasn't home, but the gate was open. He stood there quietly, staring at the cracked wall that once had been sent to him as a picture, a demand in disguise. It was patched now. Someone else had fixed it. For a moment, he felt a pang of guilt, then something deeper, relief. Later, as he sat in a quiet cafe in town, he pulled out a notebook. On the first page, he wrote, "Success is not the house you build. It's the boundaries you learn to defend. It's not who claps for you. It's who respects your silence." He didn't rebuild every relationship. He didn't need to. Some relatives still spoke ill of him. Some had cut him off entirely. Others had quietly started to handle their own lives, maybe out of necessity, maybe out of pride. But the ones who remained? They called to ask how he was, not what he could send. And that, finally, was enough. He had made it, but this time, he kept something for himself. And maybe this story feels familiar. Maybe you too have worn the invisible chains of black tax, giving until you have nothing left, because saying no feels like betrayal. Maybe you've skipped meals, paused dreams, or buried your own needs so others wouldn't call you selfish. But here's the truth no one tells you. You are not an ATM, a hero, or a villain. You're human. And even love has limits. It's okay to care. It's okay to give. But it's also okay to stop when giving costs you your peace. Black tax is real, and so is the silent grief it causes. If you're caught in that cycle, know this: you are not alone. And you deserve a life that includes you too. Stories connect us to our past, shape our present, and guide our future. African Legends and Stories is more than just storytelling. It is a bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, between tradition and modernity. Subscribe now and be part of this journey. Like, comment, and share to keep these legends alive. This is African Legends and Stories, where the past speaks and the future listens.